Hey guys, this is Tyler's take on how to easily stay warm when the temperatures start to drop. Today, we're going to talk about how to properly put together a cold weather layering system that's going to keep you warm and dry no matter the conditions. A little bit of background on myself. I'm an avid bow hunter and fisherman. I live in Pennsylvania, so that means that I've hunted in temperatures anywhere from 70 to 85 degrees, all the way down to the single digits, even 0 degrees and below. I've also been in the military for over 17 years, where I've received extensive extreme cold weather training. And I got to tell you, the one thing that I've found is whether I'm camping with the family, hiking in the Appalachian Mountains, or operating in the mountains with the military, the same principles apply when it comes to how do I stay warm. So to get right into it, every cold weather layering system is essentially comprised of three parts. You have a base layer, an insulating layer, and then an outer shell. So first off, let's dive into the base layer. So the base layer is arguably the most essential piece of any cold weather layering system. And that is because the base layer's job is to wick moisture away from your body and keep you dry. Cotton, there's a saying, cotton kills. And that is because cotton doesn't pull moisture away from your body. Cotton gets wet and it stays wet. So if you're wearing cotton in the wintertime when you're trying to stay warm, stop. Using a good base layer, like a synthetic or merino wool material, that'll wick that moisture away from you and pass it through the other layers of your system while keeping you dry. So that is your base layer. Your base layer should be a next to skin layer. And now when I say next to skin, it should be close to your skin, but not so tight that it's constricting. So keeping it just loose enough, but tight enough that it makes contact with the skin so it allows that moisture to be absorbed by it and pass through it. The next layer is your insulating layer. And at its basic level, the insulating layer is just that. It's to keep you insulated and to keep you warm. This is where your warmth is going to come from. You're not really going to stay warm from your base layer. You're not really going to stay warm from your outer layer. It's going to come from your insulating layer. You can use different materials, anything from fleece, a synthetic material like Primaloft or Thinsulate, or most people's favorite when it comes to extreme temperatures, which is going to be a down material. All of them have different advantages and disadvantages, but that's going to be the basic of your insulating layer. Now, when the conditions aren't ideal, when it's windy, it's rainy, it's snowy, you're going to want to protect yourself from the elements, and you're going to do that by wearing a good outer layer. Its job is to be durable, wind resistant, and rain resistant. There's some caveats to that, which we'll go into when we get to it. Now, depending on your activity, you can adjust that system a little bit here and there, but that's the basic of every cold weather layering system. So now let's break down each piece. Now, I'm going to use some specific pieces that I have. I wear Sitka gear when it comes to my hunting clothing. By no means is that what you have to use. You guys, there's tons of great companies out there. You have Sitka, Kuiu, First Light, and then you have all the non-hunting companies that make really, really great stuff. So pay attention to what the material is made of, and you can take that and apply it to your system, or, buy it in your brand or whatever it is you want to do. So now breaking down your base layer. Again, your base layer is your next to skin layer. Here I have the Sitka Gear, the Core Lightweight base layer. I have the tops and the bottoms, and this is a piece that I will wear no matter the temperature. Again, the job of this is to wick moisture away from your body. So if it's, the middle of the day in October and it's hot outside and I'm walking around and starting to sweat, this is going to take that sweat away from my body, pull it to my outer layer, and regulate my temperature. In this case, it's going to keep me cool. So I'm always going to wear this. Those sun shirts that you see guys wearing, on fishing trips with the hoods and long sleeves, they wear those, number one, to protect them from the sun, but also to wick that moisture away from them to keep them cool. So that is the job here. Again, this is the Core Lightweight from Sitka, but then the military also issues it's a very similar. It's a synthetic material. Usually these base layers are made of like a polyester or nylon polyester blend, something like that. Military has the Polypros, they call it. It's made of polypropylene, but it's the same thing. It's a little bit looser fitting than the Sitka stuff is. So I tend to use the Sitka a little bit more because it just makes more contact with my skin. But the military stuff, you can find this at any military surplus store, and it does a really, really good job. The next layer is going to be your insulating layer. So the insulating layer here, again, It can be made of anything from a fleece, a sweater. It can be made from Primaloft insulation, down insulation, anything with any kind of warmth and loft to it. Something that people don't realize is the majority of what keeps you warm is going to be trapping air. Air is really what insulates you more than anything. So they use these synthetic materials in a way that there's a very small amount of material, but it traps air in between the fibers of that material. And it's actually the air that's keeping you warm. So you're looking for something that's lofty. That's why if you see these, it's really popular now, these puffy jackets, which I have a couple that we'll talk about. Puffy jackets do a great job of keeping you warm because it traps a lot of air, and that air is what insulates you and keeps you warm. So keep that in mind when building a system, that air is insulating. So for this mid layer, this example, I have the Sitka Celsius MIDI is what this is. And you'll see it's kind of like it has gridded baffles here. And inside of those baffles are filled with a Primaloft insulation. But it's a synthetic material. And the good thing about synthetic is it is able to keep you warm even when it's wet. And that's going to be the biggest advantage of synthetic material versus a down or a fleece or something like that. Synthetic will keep you warm. And then if it starts to rain and it gets wet, it should still keep you warm. A down, if it gets wet, it's going to lose its insulation properties. You're going to start to get cold. So now an advantage of down over synthetic is down is typically going to pack a little bit easier and break down a little bit more. Synthetic, if it's a true fully synthetic material, it's not going to pack as easily. So, think about that based on your activity. That is that. Now for your outer shell. So there's something I want to talk about for your outer shell. There are two different outer shells. There is a hard shell and a soft shell. The hard shell should be waterproof and windproof or extremely wind resistant. That's going to be something that you're wearing when it's heavily raining outside. It's, you're sitting in the snow, something like that. Something that is not going to allow moisture in or out. So the advantage is you're going to be able to stay completely dry with that. The disadvantage is it's not going to allow any moisture to escape. And when you trap that moisture inside, that's how you stay cold. So a soft shell or a not completely waterproof material is going to allow moisture to travel through your system. The idea of a proper cold weather layering system is to pull moisture away from your body and pass that moisture through every layer to eventually evaporate outside of the outer layer. So you'll know a good cold weather system is working when you start to sweat and steam will start to come off the outside of your outer layer. You know that moisture is passing through every layer, even your outer layer. So when I'm talking about an outer shell, typically I'm talking about a soft shell. Something like this is Sitka's Jetstream jacket. It is windproof and water resistant. It's not completely waterproof, but what this does is it allows moisture to pass through it. But I love this piece. It's a perfect outer shell as far as I'm concerned. It has some basic insulation inside, not much, but just enough to keep you just a little warm. It is made of a durable outer material, so I don't have to worry about busting through brush, getting hung up on thorns or anything like that. And it has pit zips, which are one of my favorite parts, that allows you to open them up and dump heat. So, when we're hiking through the mountains, a lot of times what I'll do when I'm on a hunt where I'm moving a lot and I'm going to travel a long distance, I'm going to wear a lot of times just my base layer and put this over top. And even then I'm going to start to sweat. So I can open up my pit zips and allow that heat to dump out of there. That way I'm not sweating as much. And when I finally get to my stand, I'm not overheating. But any soft shell, again, it should be durable. It should be water resistant and wind resistant. Those are your three basic pieces. Now I have a couple other pieces here we'll talk about, but before we do that, there's two setups I want to talk about. The first setup that I have is going to be a base layer, a mid insulating layer, and then you're going to have an outer shell. So basically this system is going to be better for maybe whitetail hunters where you're going to be in more of a static position for more of the time. Maybe, you're not traveling as far to get in. It's a more modular system. It's going to allow you to layer more underneath of it. Now with this system, you can use a mid-weight base layer as well. For a mid-weight base layer, the example I have here is going to be the Fanatic hoodie. You'll notice in this, it has a gridded insulation pattern here. And all those grids do It's allow air to be trapped in between the squares of material, we'll say. And it allows air to trap in there. And again, air insulates. So that's going to do a really good job. But that gridded pattern is what you're looking for if you're looking for a mid-weight base layer. And really, you can tailor this system to whatever the temperature is. If it's, if it's 60 degrees outside, I may just wear my base layer and an outer shell. If it's 50 degrees, I may wear my base layer, the Fanatic hoodie, a mid-weight base layer, and then some kind of outer shell. If it's really cold, I might wear my base layer, my mid-weight base layer, an insulating layer, and then a heavy outer jacket. The second system is the system you're going to use for more of an active style hunt. This is going to be maybe for you Western hunters, you're hunting elk, or maybe you're a whitetail hunter, but you're just traveling much farther distances. There's two different lines of thinking. The first system, the insulating layer kind of goes on the inside, and then you put your outer shell over top of that. This system, it is a little bit different. You still use your base layer, but then you have your wind layer or your or your shell will be next. And what that's going to do is allow you to wear your base layer, then put your outer shell over top and be lighter and not be wearing as much clothing when you're moving. The last thing you want to do is be wearing a ton of insulation when you're traveling far distances. You're going to do nothing but sweat, and that's no good. The idea here is to not sweat. So if I'm on an elk hunt or a whitetail hunt where I'm going to be moving maybe a few miles, I want to start out cold. When I leave the truck, I want to be cold. When I start to walk, I want to be cold. I'm going to warm up no matter what. So sometimes that means I might just walk in my base layers. If it's raining or if it's really windy, I might, again, just have my base layer, a light wind jacket, walk in. And then what I'll do with this system, when you get to your static position, if it's an elk hunt, maybe you're getting to a mountaintop where you're going to do some glassing. If it's whitetail, you're getting to your stand where now you're going to start sitting. This is where you take a heavy outer shell that's going to be loaded with a lot of insulation. You're going to put that on over top. So those pieces are a little bit different. They're going to be bulkier. They're going to be filled with a lot more insulation than your midweight or your smaller insulating layers are, but they're going to keep you a lot warmer. It's going to allow you to wear less, but stay warmer, if that makes sense. One piece that I love for that here is the Sitka Fanatic vest. So you'll see, I'll hold this up. I mean, this thing, it's thick, it's heavy. It has this like thick, I think they call it like a Berber fleece exterior. It's full of Primaloft insulation. The thing I love about this though is it's a vest. So one thing to keep in mind is your main focus when using a cold weather system is keeping your core as warm as possible. If you can keep your midsection warm, you're going to be able to keep your extremities warmer as well. So if you get cold hands and cold feet easily, it's probably because you're not keeping your core as warm as you should. So concentrating on putting the most of the insulation here. And that's what this does. It's a heavier vest full of a lot of insulation that I can throw on over top of everything once I get to my stand. And because it's a vest and I'm a bow hunter, it's going to allow me to have full dexterity in my arms. It's not going to, I don't need a lot of insulation on my arms. My arms don't get that cold. So I love this vest. Any kind of heavy vest. You see a lot of people wearing like a puffy jacket vest. And that's the idea. They can have the mobility in their arms, but they can keep their core warm, and it's going to keep everything warm. So that's a vest. Now, if it's extremely cold and I want to go a step up from there, my favorite jacket, and every company, Sitka has the Fanatic jacket, which I don't have. This is the military's outer shell, their extended cold weather system that they have. This is the 7th layer of that system. Believe it or not, it's made of a durable material. It's also water resistant. It's full of, I believe it's a Primaloft insulation. It's heavy insulation, but it is thick. And this is almost a fully synthetic. So this is going to be not as packable. It's going to take up quite a bit of space, but I'll tell you what, I can put a base layer on and then put this over top. And this is probably going to keep me warm all the way down to 20 degrees. This thing, and it's almost bomb proof. So a heavy insulating layer like this, you're going to be able to wear something light while you're moving, get to your stand or your static position, your glassing knob, whatever it is, and then throw something like this over top to keep that heat inside of your system, and it's going to keep you warm. This thing also has a lot of pockets on the insides. So let's say if I'm wearing gloves and my gloves get wet, I can put my gloves inside of this jacket, zip it up, and use that to warm or dry out my gloves. Um, but this is something you can find from an Army or Navy surplus store. I highly recommend it. The other piece I have here, this is something I wear. This is more of like a day-to-day piece, but I could also wear it on a hunt if I wanted to. This is the Sitka Rover, I believe. So this is made with a Primaloft gold insulation. Now this is a Primaloft down blend. So it's a synthetic and a down material together. So it has the packability of down while the staying warm when wet properties of synthetic material. It packs really light and it does a really, really good job of keeping me warm. It's not going to keep me as warm as the other jacket I just showed you will, but it does a really good job, probably down to, let's say, 30 degrees or so, and way below zero if I use a proper layering system underneath of it. Maybe, a mid-weight layer and then a good base layer. But the baffles are slightly larger than that Celsius midi jacket I was showing you. Allows for some more insulation. Typically, the larger the baffles are, the more insulation they can pack with it, and the warmer it's going to keep you. So this does a really good job here. And those are basically the basic components of a good layering system. I want to touch really briefly, though, on your hands and feet. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but just really briefly, we'll go with your feet first. When it comes to your feet, again, don't wear cotton socks. Typically, a good rule of thumb is going to be to wear a good merino wool sock. Merino wool socks are not cheap. There's alpaca and some other materials out there that I haven't really experimented with too much. I can tell you merino wool works. I wear a mid-weight merino wool sock in the summertime and the wintertime. For me, it keeps my foot dry for the most part. Even in the summer months, if I wear a mid-weight merino wool, it's going to keep moisture off of my foot, and I can hike in summer conditions. And in the wintertime, it's going to keep me warm. So this is an example. This is I think it's the Darn Tough mid-weight, or maybe this is the Darn Tough heavyweight. I'm not sure. It's their hunter sock. You can look for it. But again, any company you want, Smart Wool or Walmart Wool or whatever brand you want to use, by all means, go with it. This is from Smart Wool. This is a more heavyweight merino wool. This is their mountaineering sock. You can see it's full of a lot heavier insulation. This is something I'm not going to use unless it's like really cold outside. I'm talking, 20 degrees and below. And if temperatures get really extreme, so if I'm trying to stay warm in single digits, when I don't have a boot blanket or something, which I'll talk about in a second, I even have a pair of boot liners. So these are made by Injinji, I think is how you say it. And it's like a toe sock, but it's basically it's a polyester nylon blend liner that you're going to put on first, and then you're going to put on your merino wool sock over top of that, and then your boots. And I found that does an extremely good job of keeping my feet dry and warm. Now, obviously, your boot's going to play into it. I'm not going to get into boots too much here. That'll probably be a whole separate video on its own. Typically, my rule of thumb is October, I'm usually rocking an uninsulated boot. Even just a little hiker, mid-height hiker. If your temperatures start to drop, maybe, below 50 degrees or so, I have a 200-gram insulated boot. Again, I like Primaloft better than Thinsulate. I've never found Thinsulate to be able to keep my feet warm or my body warm. So I'm a firm believer in Primaloft. And then when it gets really, really cold, the warmest boot I have is an 800-gram Primaloft boot. And really, my feet get cold easily. And if I do this in that 800-gram boot, my feet are not going to get cold. If you have very cold feet and this is an issue for you, maybe it's bad circulation or whatever, you can use something like this, which is a boot blanket. Now, these are non-insulated boot blankets. This is made by Arctic Shield. It's just really a shell that you can put on outside of your boot. So you have your socks, you have your boot, and then when you get to your stand, your glassing knob or whatever, maybe your campsite and you're there for the night, you put your boot inside of this. You're going to want to make sure they're oversized, extremely oversized. It's going to fit over top of that big insulated boot. And again, what this is going to do is going to trap a barrier of air in between your boot and this hard shell. This should not allow anything to escape. They're completely waterproof and windproof. So nothing's getting out, but it should keep that warm air in. If I do this, my feet will not get cold. If you want to take it even a step further, you could put this on, throw a hand warmer inside of it. Come on. So that's my advice. Typically, I can get away with just a pair of wool socks and a lightly insulated boot, and I shouldn't have too many issues. For your hands, gloves. You know, I'm a bow hunter, so the gloves that I have, the pointer and the thumb, are cut off. I have a couple other sets of gloves that I've cut those off so I can feel my release. If you're going to wear gloves, you're going to have a hard time keeping your hands warm with just gloves. Really, the reason for that is you can only fit so much insulation around each finger. There's really not a whole lot you can do. You can buy super, super thick gloves that can kind of do a good job. The problem with that is now your gloves are so thick, you don't really have any dexterity with your fingers. So your hands are kind of useless. So the best thing that I've found is to wear a thin glove liner like this. This is a Polartec. I think I got it from Bass Pro Shops or REI. I can't remember. REI, okay, right here. It's a thin glove liner. I'll wear this when I'm moving. It keeps my hands a little bit warm. I can use, my phone and everything that I want with it. And then when I stop moving and my hands need to be warm, and say what you want, but mittens. When I stop moving, I put mittens on. Obviously, if I'm on a whitetail hunt, I have a hand muff or something I can just put my hands in to keep my hands warm. But if I'm in a hunt or in a position, a campsite or a hike or something where I don't need to use my hands, nothing is going to keep your hands warmer than a good insulated mitten. Put these on your hands, put these right inside the mitten, and I promise you, your hands are going to stay warmer in these. There again, you can throw a hand warmer inside of here. There's really no substitution for a good set of insulated mittens. I know we've talked about a lot of different pieces of clothing, a lot of different materials. Just to break it down one last time, again, base layer, insulating layer, and outer shell. Base layer should wick moisture away from your body. Insulating layer should keep you warm, and the outer shell should protect you from the elements. If you can follow those 3 rules, you can set up any system for any situation. And then it's just a matter of adding more stuff underneath if you need to stay warmer. Hopefully this stuff made sense. Hopefully you can take it and apply it to whatever activity it is that you're doing. If you guys have any questions about this system or anything that I didn't cover, by all means, drop a comment in the box below here, all that YouTube stuff, and I'll let you know what I can come up with. So take care, guys, and until next time.